Hello everyone, this is Jordan from tranquil-it, and today a video that will focus on a technical point, setting up WAPT WUA within your infrastructure. It's a question that often comes up from our clients. How do we manage Windows updates with WAPT? But how does it work? And above all, what are your recommendations? The idea of this video is to show you the 3 management modes that exist to handle your Windows updates with our tool. The first mode will be a whitelist mode, also called an allow list, which will actually refuse all new KBs by default. And then it will be up to the agent in charge of Windows updates to validate via the WUA package that, well, it authorizes these KBs, they are approved or refused. The updates will then install or not install on the workstations. There is a second mode, the exact opposite of the first, will be in blocklist mode. This means that by default, we will allow all KBs to be installed. However, we'll create a separate list that we will populate. In this list, we will put certain KBs that we will refuse. These will not be installed on the workstations. Otherwise, those that are not refused are tacitly accepted, and so the workstation will install them. And finally, there will be a third mode, the hybrid mode, where we'll give you a bit more flexibility. The KBs will be installed on the workstations if they are tagged, for example, critical, and we only allow critical ones. However, all the others that don't have the same tag, which could be moderate or important, for example, these KBs will actually populate the WAPT WUA package, and it will be up to the person in charge of Windows Update Management to accept or not accept certain KBs. This means that for a good portion of the updates, there will no longer be a need to manage them. So there you have a first presentation of the 3 management modes that exist today with WAPT WUA. It's not very complicated, but basically the idea is to use configuration packages to install either directly on the workstation or on OS to set up different configurations. Since for very critical workstations, we might prefer that they don't install updates by themselves. On the other hand, for test workstations, for example, there's less risk, and at that point maybe they will prefer, because they are in dev or pre-prod, that they install as many KBs as possible to see if there are any side effects and so on. Let me show you. To start, we're going to present the operating mode with the whitelist. To do that, we'll go to package inventory and create a configuration package. We'll call it TIS allow list. We'll set it to prod maturity. For this, we need to activate WAPT WUA. So there it is, the service is activated. And then the default allow parameter, well, we're going to set it to 0. With this very minimalist config, we've just told the workstation where we'll install the config package that it won't install any updates by itself. We can save our config package, and we can assign this config package directly to our machines, for example, a server, either on the machine or directly within the OU. Since we won't be installing anything, we'll have to install in parallel another WUA rules package where we'll actually validate which KBs we want to approve or not. So for example, we can call it TIS rules WUA, for instance. I'll check them and say, okay, this one is fine, that one is fine, but this one really doesn't interest me. And now, once I've finally populated my WUA package, I'll be able to save it. And so this one will need to be updated on a regular basis. Every time the wsus.cab file is updated, which is at least once a month by Microsoft, well, there will be new KBs available. And so each time you'll have to decide whether to, accept or not accept the installation of certain proposed KBs. Once our package is in place, well, it's the same thing. We'll then have to apply it to our OU. So here, for example, in whitelist mode, I'm going to set it for my servers because I don't want them installing updates on their own. However, I do want to manage them. So that's a config I can set up for the servers, for instance. Now, for the second mode, the blocklist mode, well, this one is going to be completely different since we won't need the package anymore. WUA rules. We'll call this one TIS blocklist WUA, for example. We enable the service as always, but here we set default allow to 1. And so now all the KBs offered to the workstation will try to install them. We won't overthink it, it will just install everything. There we have a config. Blocklist. The only way to not install a KB is to go through our rule package. The WUA one we just created, the WUA rules, and to specify, a KB that we don't want to install. At that point, you'll need to be reactive. What I recommend for the blocklist is to set a minimum delay before installing the KBs. If the KB appeared on Tuesday, for example, we'll set a delay of maybe 3 days. That way it gives us 3 days to go back to the WUA rule package to check the KBs. And if there's really a KB we don't want installed, well, at least it won't install too quickly. we'll have time to handle that. So we can save, and this config can be used, for example, for workstations or for testing stations or machines that are in development. We apply it directly to the WAPT system blacklist mode, for example. Now finally, the third mode, the hybrid mode, which also has its own specific configuration. In particular, we'll call it TIS. Hybrid. WUA, we'll set it to production, and as always, the service. We're setting the default allow to 0. And so here, in the authorized severities, we can add a tag, for example, like critical. With this config, we'll default authorize all KBs tagged as critical to install on the station without needing to manage them. However, the other KBs that aren't tagged as critical will end up in our package, WUA rules, and it's from this package that we can say, I'll take this one, I won't take that one, or I won't take any at all. There. And so the hybrid config has the advantage of being a bit more flexible. Everything that is critical is automatically taken into account by the machine, and the rest then is still in the hands of the agent who manages the Windows updates. Now we're reaching the end of the video. We've presented the 3 governance modes that exist with WAPT. It's up to you to choose the mode you want. And as I've shown you, you can very well have within your infrastructure different config packages for different WUE governance modes. I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to check out other videos if the content interests you. With that, I wish you a good day